Introducing ChatGPT Pulse. Now ChatGPT can start the conversation. We're building ChatGPT to help you reach your goals. Since ChatGPT launched, that's always meant coming to ask a question. There's magic in being able to simply ask and get answers to help you learn, create, or solve problems. However, that's limited by what you know to ask for and always puts the burden on you for the next step. Today, we're releasing a preview of ChatGPT Pulse to pro users on mobile. Pulse is a new experience where ChatGPT proactively does research to deliver personalized updates based on your chats, feedback, and connected apps like your calendar. You can curate what ChatGPT researches by letting it know what's useful and what isn't. The research appears in Pulse as topical visual cards you can scan quickly or open for more detail. So each day starts with a new, focused set of updates. This is the first step toward a more useful ChatGPT that proactively brings you what you need, helping you make more progress so you can get back to your life. We'll learn and improve from early use before rolling it out to Plus, with the goal of making it available to everyone. Made for you once a day, every day, ChatGPT can now do asynchronous research on your behalf. Each night, it synthesizes information from your memory, chat history, and direct feedback to learn what's most relevant to you, then delivers personalized, focused updates the next day. These could look like follow-ups on topics you discuss often, ideas for quick, healthy dinner to make it home that evening, or next steps toward a longer-term goal such as training for a triathlon. You can also connect Gmail and Google Calendar to provide additional context for more relevant suggestions. When Calendar is connected, ChatGPT might draft a sample meeting agenda, remind you to buy a birthday gift, or surface restaurant recommendations for an upcoming trip. These integrations are off by default and can be turned on or off anytime in settings. Topics shown in Pulse also pass through safety checks to avoid showing harmful content that violates our policies. You decide what shows up. You can ask for what you'd like ChatGPT to research for you each day. Tap Curate to request what you want to see in future editions. Ask for a Friday roundup of local events, tips for learning a new skill, or something specific like, focus on professional tennis updates tomorrow. You can also give quick feedback with a thumbs up or thumbs down, and easily view or delete your feedback history. Over time, your guidance makes Pulse more personal and useful. Meant to work for you, not to keep you scrolling. Every morning, ChatGPT delivers a curated set of the most relevant updates, giving you the information you need so you can get back to what matters most. Each update is available for that day only unless you save it as a chat or ask a follow-up question, which adds it to your conversation history. Expand any update to dive deeper, request next steps, or save it for later so you can move forward on goals with clear, timely information. Insights from the ChatGPT Lab. We partnered with college students in the ChatGPT Lab to gather early feedback and improve Pulse. One insight in particular we had was that many started to feel its utility once they started telling ChatGPT what they wanted to see. That insight underscored the importance of simple feedback, so we added more ways to share reactions and guide what appears. Here are a few of the students' favorite personalized updates. Recommendations. Isaac Seiler. Actionable recommendations. Received this based on a conversation that I had yesterday that focused on calendar management / structuring PTO for my grant period in Taiwan. What it produced was several logical steps ahead of where I was at in the conversation. The update was incredibly helpful and exposed me to train and commute information I would have never come across or looked for otherwise. Follow-ups. Hashijin. Meaningful follow-ups. I am taking a scuba diving course this week. I shared difficulties both in terms of skills and stress. I find this association between scuba diving and risk management the most interesting. I had related thoughts a few days ago. I find it super cool that it makes analogies between different interests of mine. It suggested very relevant advice for the parts that I was having the most trouble with. Context. Parker Jones. Specific, useful context. There was one specific moment where ChatGPT had realized I was going back to school and wanted to help me prepare. It knew I was home for the summer and had been studying abroad before that, so it gave me updates on what had changed in my college town over the last 6 months. That sort of blew my mind. It was genuinely proactive and helpful. Combining interests. Nolan Wyndham. novel interest combinations. It combined two computer graphics techniques I had explored with chat in unrelated contexts. One I developed for an art project I'm working on. The other I used chat to learn about out of curiosity. I never thought to combine them, but these suggestions triggered a light bulb moment for me. I'm totally going to see this idea through and take my art to the next dimension. Recommendations. Isaac Seiler. Actionable recommendations. Received this based on a conversation that I had yesterday that focused on calendar management/structuring PTO for my grant period in Taiwan. What it produced was several logical steps ahead of where I was at in the conversation. The update was incredibly helpful and exposed me to train and commute information I would have never come across or looked for otherwise. Follow-ups. Hashijin. Meaningful follow-ups. I am taking a scuba diving course this week. I shared difficulties both in terms of skills and stress. I find this association between scuba diving and risk management the most interesting. I had related thoughts a few days ago. I find it super cool that it makes analogies between different interests of mine. It suggested very relevant advice for the parts that I was having the most trouble with. Context. Parker Jones. Specific, useful context. There was one specific moment where ChatGPT had realized I was going back to school and wanted to help me prepare. It knew I was home for the summer and had been studying abroad before that, so it gave me updates on what had changed in my college town over the last 6 months. That sort of blew my mind. It was genuinely proactive and helpful. Combining interests. Nolan Wyndham. Novel interest combinations. It combined two computer graphics techniques I had explored with chat in unrelated contexts. One I developed for an art project I'm working on. The other I used chat to learn about out of curiosity. I never thought to combine them, but these suggestions triggered a light bulb moment for me. I'm totally going to see this idea through and take my art to the next dimension. Limitations. Pulse is a preview and won't always get things right. It aims to show you what's most relevant and useful, but you may still see suggestions that miss the mark. For example, you may get tips for a project you already completed. You can guide what shows up by telling ChatGPT directly. It remembers your feedback for next time and improves as it learns from real use. What's next? Pulse is the first step toward a new paradigm for interacting with AI. By combining conversation, memory, and connected apps, ChatGPT is moving from answering questions to a proactive assistant that works on your behalf. Over time, we envision AI systems that can research, plan, and take helpful actions for you, based on your direction, so that progress happens even when you are not asking. Pulse introduces this future in its simplest form: personalized research and timely updates that appear regularly to keep you informed. Soon, Pulse will be able to connect with more of the apps you use, so updates capture a more complete picture of your context. We're also exploring ways for Pulse to deliver relevant work at the right moments throughout the day, whether it's a quick check before a meeting, a reminder to revisit a draft, or a resource that appears right when you need it. As we expand to more apps and richer actions, ChatGPT will evolve from something you consult into something that quietly accelerates the work and ideas that matter to you. Measuring the performance of our models on real-world tasks. We're introducing GDPval, a new evaluation that measures model performance on economically valuable, real-world tasks across 44 occupations. Our mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. As part of our mission, we want to transparently communicate progress on how AI models can help people in the real world. That's why we're introducing GDPval, a new evaluation designed to help us track how well our models and others perform on economically valuable real-world tasks. We call this evaluation GDPval because we started with the concept of gross domestic product, GDP, as a key economic indicator and drew tasks from the key occupations in the industries that contribute most to GDP. People often speculate about AI's broader impact on society, but the clearest way to understand its potential is by looking at what models are already capable of doing. History shows that major technologies, from the internet to smartphones, took more than a decade to go from invention to widespread adoption. Evaluations like GDPval help ground conversations about future AI improvements in evidence rather than guesswork, and can help us track model improvement over time. Previous AI evaluations like challenging academic tests and competitive coding challenges have been essential in pushing the boundaries of model reasoning capabilities, but they often fall short of the kind of tasks that many people handle in their everyday work. To bridge this gap, we've been developing evaluations that measure increasingly realistic and economically relevant capabilities. This progression has moved from classic academic benchmarks like MMLU, exam-style questions across dozens of subjects, to more applied evaluations like SWE Bench, software engineering bug-fixing tasks, MLE Bench, machine learning engineering tasks such as model training and analysis, and Paper Bench, scientific reasoning and critique on research papers, and more recently to market-based evaluations like SWE Lancer, freelance software engineering projects based on real payouts. GDPval is the next step in that progression. It measures model performance on tasks drawn directly from the real-world knowledge work of experienced professionals across a wide range of occupations and sectors, providing a clearer picture on how models perform on economically valuable tasks. Evaluating models on realistic occupational tasks helps us understand not just how well they perform in the lab, but how they might support people in the work they do every day. What GDPval measures? GDPval, the first version of this evaluation, spans 44 occupations selected from the top 9 industries contributing to U.S. GDP. The GDPval full set includes 1,320 specialized tasks, 220 in the gold open source set, each meticulously crafted and vetted by experienced professionals with over 14 years of experience on average from these fields. Every task is based on real work products, such as a legal brief, an engineering blueprint, a customer support conversation, or a nursing care plan. GDPval covers tasks across 9 industries and 44 occupations, and future versions will continue to expand coverage. The initial 9 industries were chosen based on those contributing over 5% to U.S. GDP, as determined by data from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Then, we selected the 5 occupations within each industry that contribute most to total wages and compensation and are predominantly knowledge work occupations, using wage and employment data from the May 2024 U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, Occupational Employment Report. To determine if the occupations were predominantly knowledge work, we used task data from O*Net, a database of U.S. occupational information sponsored by the U.S. Department of Labor. We classified whether each task for each occupation in O*Net was knowledge work or physical work/manual labor, requiring actions to be taken in the physical world. An occupation qualified overall as predominantly knowledge work if at least 60% of its component tasks were classified as not involving physical work or manual labor. We chose this 60% threshold as a starting point for the first version of GDPval, focusing on occupations where AI could have the highest impact on real-world productivity. This process yielded 44 occupations for inclusion: real estate and rental and leasing, concierges, property, real estate and community association managers, real estate sales agents, real estate brokers, counter and rental clerks, government, recreation workers, compliance officers, first-line supervisors of police and detectives, administrative services managers, child, family, and school social workers, manufacturing, mechanical engineers, industrial engineers, buyers and purchasing agents, shipping, receiving, and inventory clerks, first-line supervisors of production and operating workers, professional, scientific, and technical services, software developers, lawyers, accountants and auditors, computer and information systems managers, professional, scientific, and technical services, software developers, lawyers, accountants and auditors, computer and information systems managers, project management specialists, healthcare and social assistants, registered nurses, nurse practitioners, medical and health services managers, first-line supervisors of office and administrative support workers, medical secretaries and administrative assistants, finance and insurance, customer service representatives, financial and investment analysts, financial managers, personal financial advisors, securities, commodities, and financial services sales agents, Retail trade, pharmacists, first-line supervisors of retail sales workers, general and operations managers, private detectives and investigators. Wholesale trade, sales managers, order clerks, first-line supervisors of non-retail sales workers, sales representatives, wholesale and manufacturing, except technical and scientific products, sales representatives, wholesale and manufacturing, technical and scientific products, information, audio and video technicians, producers and directors, news analysts, reporters and journalists, film and video editors, editors. GDPval spans 44 knowledge work occupations across 9 sectors, from software developers and lawyers to registered nurses and mechanical engineers. These occupations were selected for their economic significance and represent the types of day-to-day work where AI can meaningfully assist professionals. How we built the dataset. For each occupation, we worked with experienced professionals to create representative tasks that reflect their day-to-day work. These professionals averaged 14 years of experience, with strong records of advancement. We deliberately recruited a breadth of experts, such as lawyers from different practice areas and firms of different sizes, to maximize representativeness. Each task went through a multi-step review process to ensure it was representative of real work, feasible for another professional to complete, and clear for evaluation. On average, each task received 5 rounds of expert review, including checks from other task writers, additional occupational reviewers, and model-based validation. The resulting dataset includes 30 fully reviewed tasks per occupation, full set, with 5 tasks per occupation in our open-sourced gold set, providing a robust foundation for evaluating model performance on real-world knowledge work. Examples of GDPval tasks. This is June 2025 and you are a manufacturing engineer in an automobile assembly line. The product is a cable spooling truck for underground mining operations, and you are reviewing the final testing step. In the final testing step, a big spool of cable needs to be reeled in and reeled out 2 times to ensure the cable spooling works as per requirement. The current operation requires 2 persons to work on this test. The first person needs to bring and position the spool near the test unit. The second person will connect the open end of the cable spool to the test unit and start the reel-in step. While the cable is being unreeled from the spool and onto the truck, the first person will need to rotate the spool in order to facilitate the unreeling. When the cable is fully reeled onto the truck, the next step is to perform the operation in reverse order, so the cable gets reeled out of the truck and back onto its own reel. This test is done another time to ensure functionality. This task is complicated, has associated risks, requires high labor, and makes the work area cluttered. Your manager has requested you to develop a jig/fixture to simplify reel in and reel out of the cable reel spool, so the test can be done by one person. Attached to this request is an information document which provides basic details about the cable reel drum size, information to design the cable reel spooling jig, and to structure the deliverable. The deliverable for this task will be a preliminary concept design only. Separate tasks will be done to calculate design foundations such as stress, strength, cost-benefit analysis, etc. Design a jig using 3D modeling software and create a presentation using Microsoft PowerPoint. As part of the deliverable, upload only a PDF document summarizing the design, using snapshots of the 3D design created. The 3D design file is not required for submission. Each task in GDPval is designed by an experienced professional and reflects real knowledge work from their occupation. The prompt is a realistic work assignment created by a domain expert, and the gold deliverable is the expert's own solution. How we grade model performance. To evaluate model performance on GDPval tasks, we rely on expert graders, a group of experienced professionals from the same occupations represented in the dataset. These graders blindly compare model-generated deliverables with those produced by task writers, not knowing which is AI versus human-generated, and offer critiques and rankings. Graders then rank the human and AI deliverables and classify each AI deliverable as better, as good as, or worse than one another. Task writers also created detailed scoring rubrics for their occupations, which add consistency and transparency to the grading process. We also built an automated grader, an AI system trained to estimate how human experts would judge a given deliverable. In other words, instead of running a full expert review every time, the automated grader can quickly predict which output people would likely prefer. We're releasing this tool through at evals.openai.com as an experimental research service, but it's not yet as reliable as expert graders, so we don't use it to replace them. Early results. We found that today's best frontier models are already approaching the quality of work produced by industry experts. To test this, we ran blind evaluations where industry experts compared deliverables from several leading models: GPT-4o, O4 Mini, OpenAI O3, GPT-5, Claude Opus 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, and Grok 4 against human-produced work. Across 220 tasks in the GDPval Gold set, we recorded when model outputs were rated as better than wins or on par with ties, the deliverables from industry experts, as shown in the bar chart below. Claude Opus 4.1 was the best-performing model in the set, excelling in particular on aesthetics, e.g., document formatting, slide layout, and GPT-5 excelled in particular on accuracy, e.g., finding domain-specific knowledge. We also see clear progress over time on these tasks. Performance has more than doubled from GPT-4o, released spring 2024, to GPT-5, released summer 2025, following a clear linear trend. In addition, we found that frontier models can complete GDPval tasks roughly 100x faster and 100x cheaper than industry experts. However, these figures reflect pure model inference time and API billing rates, and therefore do not capture the human oversight, iteration, and integration steps required in real workplace settings to use our models. Still, especially on the subset of tasks where models are particularly strong, we expect that giving a task to a model before trying it with a human would save time and money. Expert graders compared deliverables from leading models to human experts. Today's frontier models are already approaching the quality of work produced by industry experts. Claude Opus 4.1 produced outputs rated as good as or better than humans in just under half the tasks. GDPval, OpenAI frontier model performance over time. From GPT-4o to GPT-5, performance on GDPval tasks more than tripled in a year. Finally, we incrementally trained an internal, experimental version of GPT-5 to assess if we could improve performance on GDPval. We found this process improved performance, creating a pathway for further potential improvement. Other controlled experiments back this up. Increasing model size, encouraging more reasoning steps, and giving richer task context each led to measurable gains. You can read the full results in our paper. We're also releasing a gold subset of GDPval tasks and a public grading service so other researchers can build on this work. The future of work and AI. As AI becomes more capable, it will likely cause changes in the job market. Early GDPval results show that models can already take on some repetitive, well-specified tasks faster and at lower cost than experts. However, most jobs are more than just a collection of tasks that can be written down. GDPval highlights where AI can handle routine tasks so people can spend more time on the creative, judgment-heavy parts of work. When AI complements workers in this way, it can translate into significant economic growth. Our goal is to keep everyone on the up elevator of AI by democratizing access to these tools, supporting workers through change, and building systems that reward broad contribution. Limitations and what's next. GDPval is an early step. While it covers 44 occupations and hundreds of tasks, we are continuing to refine our approach to expand the scope of our testing and make the results more meaningful. The current version of the evaluation is also one-shot, so it doesn't capture cases where a model would need to build context or improve through multiple drafts, for example, revising a legal brief after client feedback or iterating on a data analysis after spotting an anomaly. Additionally, in the real world, tasks aren't always clearly defined with a prompt and reference files. For example, a lawyer might have to navigate ambiguity and talk to their client before deciding that creating a legal brief is the right approach to help them. We plan to expand GDPval to include more occupations, industries, and task types, with increased interactivity and more tasks involving navigating ambiguity, with the long-term goal of better measuring progress on diverse knowledge work. Get involved. If you're an industry expert interested in contributing to GDPval, please show your interest here. If you're a customer working with OpenAI and you'd like to contribute to a future round of GDPval, please express interest here. Community participation is essential, We're excited to build GDPval together with researchers, practitioners, and organizations who share our goal of making AGI more useful for people at work. More ways to work with your team and tools in ChatGPT. New shared projects, smarter connectors, and compliance and security updates help teams get more done. We want to help teams and organizations do their best work with ChatGPT. Today, we're rolling out shared projects for ChatGPT business plans. We've also recently added new connectors to team tools and improved response speed and accuracy, along with new compliance and admin features. Shared projects help teams move faster. Teams can now work with ChatGPT toward a goal, whether supporting a customer account, creating content, or running monthly reports, while staying on the same page and keeping work consistent. Members can add files and instructions to a shared project together, and ChatGPT uses that context to tailor its responses so every new chat starts with the latest information. More helpful responses from your team's tools. With new connectors, ChatGPT can pull information from Gmail, Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, GitHub, Dropbox, and Box for more relevant answers based on your work. Responses are now faster and more accurate, and ChatGPT can decide when to use the right connector for each prompt. Compliance and admin features keep work data secure. New ISO 27001, 27017, 27018, and 27701 certifications. An expanded SOC2 report, role-based access controls, and enhanced SSO help organizations confidently enable every employee with AI. Shared projects help teams get more done together. Last year, we launched projects to keep related chats, files, and instructions in one place so you can pick up work where you left off without re-explaining context to ChatGPT. Now you can share projects with teammates, adding files and instructions together to guide ChatGPT's responses toward a shared goal. Members can chat with the project's context to stay on the same page as new information gets added and create work that stays consistent in tone and style. Ways to use shared projects. In early testing, teams used them to coordinate client work, keep all notes, proposals, and contracts in one place so account teams can draft follow-ups faster and stay aligned. For example, as an account manager, you can upload call notes and your solutions engineer can ask ChatGPT to summarize the latest updates to prepare for a customer demo. Content creation. Use project-wide instructions to maintain a consistent voice and style. You can, for instance, tell ChatGPT to follow your brand guidelines so project members can create on-brand assets, from blogs to social copy, for an upcoming product launch. Reporting. Split tasks while staying coordinated with shared instructions and uploaded datasets. Teams preparing monthly reporting can prepare updates for different audiences, such as an executive summary or a more detailed breakdown for finance. How it works. Project creators can invite teammates by email or link with 2 levels of access, chat or edit. Chat access lets members see and interact with the project's chats, files, and instructions. Edit access adds the ability to update instructions, upload or remove files, and invite others. Shared projects have their own private memory, which lets ChatGPT remember details members share, so you can start new conversations without explaining everything again. This is especially useful for long-running work with multiple follow-ups and keeps sensitive data or client details safely within the project. What's next? In this first version, project members can work asynchronously, with the ability to build on each other's updates, start their own one-on-one conversations with ChatGPT, or branch another member's conversation to explore a new idea. This release is an early step toward team collaboration in ChatGPT, and we'll use your feedback to shape what comes next. Availability. Shared projects are available to business, enterprise, and edu plans today, with Free, Go, Plus, and Pro coming soon. They are defaulted off for enterprise and edu customers, and admins can control access. Projects can only be shared with workspace members for ChatGPT business plans. How teams use connectors today. Communication and writing. Draft updates, synthesize documents, or follow guidelines and templates. Example. Using our web template in Google Drive, create a brief for X. Meetings and collaboration. Prepare for meetings, create agendas, and identify action items. Example. Review my latest emails with customer/company to prep for our next call. Organization and productivity. Quickly find important documents or answers in company data. Example. How do I submit an expense report? Analysis and reporting. Analyze data from market research or performance tracking. Example. Tell me which campaigns drove our highest value deals in HubSpot. Coding and technical tasks. Understand code bases, review pull requests, or write documentation. Example. How is feature implemented in our codebase? Logic Monitor is an AI-first company, and at the center of our global transformation is our enterprise-wide use of ChatGPT. Connectors are the catalysts for this transformation, bringing AI directly into the tools we already rely on. By uniting ChatGPT with Google Drive, we've enabled our teams to collaborate smarter, move faster, and unlock new levels of performance. Aileen Schneiderwind, Chief Performance Officer at Logic Monitor. ChatGPT helps teams across Endava move faster by turning scattered documents in SharePoint into strong first drafts with clear exec summary insights. We now spend less time searching for these files and instead focus on more strategic work to drive us forward. Joe Dunleavy, Regional CTO for Europe at Endava. Using the Notion connector with ChatGPT cut our internal messages on certain issues by more than half because people just know where to find stuff. Managers spend less time repeating the basics. Philip Chung, co-founder at Plex Coffee. Recent updates. Added more productivity tools. New connectors to Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Contacts, Microsoft Outlook and Calendar, and Microsoft Teams give ChatGPT a more complete view of projects, communications, and schedules, so teams spend less time chasing information across tools. ChatGPT knows when to use connectors. We've improved ChatGPT's ability to automatically decide when to use connectors, search the web, or rely on its own training, making your company context a more seamless part of the conversation. It can also pick the most relevant connector based on the question, so you no longer need to turn individual connectors on in every new chat. Faster, more accurate responses. ChatGPT can now sync data from GitHub, SharePoint, Dropbox, and Box ahead of time, so it responds faster and more accurately. Learn more about synced connectors. What's next? In the coming weeks, we'll roll out new connectors for popular team tools across CRM, communication, knowledge stores, and ticketing, bringing ChatGPT closer to everything your business runs on. Soon, we'll also make connectors available in projects and GPTs. Availability. Connectors are now generally available and can be enabled in settings. Admins control user access for ChatGPT business plans, and they're off by default for enterprise and edu. As always, connectors respect existing content permissions, so ChatGPT only sees what each person is allowed to access, and all data remains encrypted in transit and at rest. We never train on content shared with ChatGPT for our business plans by default. See our Help Center for details on availability by plan. New compliance programs and admin controls keep company data secure. As we make ChatGPT more valuable for the workplace, we're equally focused on helping organizations deploy it across their company responsibly and with confidence. To support this, we've added new compliance and admin features that give companies more control over who can access what, where their data lives, and how it's protected. Recent updates. Compliance certifications. OpenAI's Information Security Management System is now certified by Shellman to ISO/IEC 27001, 27017, 27018, and 27701 standards. We've also expanded our SOC 2 compliance to cover 4 trust services criteria, now including security, confidentiality, availability, and privacy. Customers can view our ISO certificate and SOC 2 report on our Trust portal. Role-based access controls. ChatGPT Enterprise and Edu admins can create custom roles and set group-level permissions for tools like connectors, projects, GPTs, search, and more. This helps align access with company policies to streamline management as workspaces grow. Expanded SSO support. We rolled out OIDC support for ChatGPT Business, Enterprise, Edu, and API customers. In addition to SAML, giving customers more flexibility to integrate with their existing identity providers. IP Allow Listing. Admins can now enable IP Allow Listing as an optional security feature for ChatGPT Enterprise and Edu workspaces. When turned on, only requests from the IP addresses you specify will be allowed. Any request from an unapproved IP is automatically blocked, even if the user has valid credentials. These updates build on our existing, robust enterprise-grade security, data privacy, and compliance programs. Learn more. Looking ahead, OpenAI now serves over 5 million ChatGPT business users as companies move from experimentation to daily, mission-critical use. To support this shift, we'll continue making ChatGPT a secure, future-proof platform that gets better as AI advances to help teams work smarter every day. Learn more about ChatGPT Business or contact our team for more information on OpenAI's products.